Hey everybody, Midnight Riders back here. The last couple of days have been a little tricky for me. I've just had a lot going on and stuff, but I've come to realize that there's a few things that I mean to talk about that I never really do. So today I'm just taking a quick drive real quick up to one of my construction sites. So I wanted to kind of get something off my mind real quick, and I think it's important with all the negative things that I talk about. I think it's important to talk about some of the things that I am grateful for and just gratitude in general. Everybody actually always thinks that I'm like some uber negative, angry kind of guy. And I'm really not, actually. I'm actually a very positive person, and I really believe that gratitude is our number one, biggest resource for, let me put it to you this way. I believe that we actually have a moral obligation to be happy. Not only does it have positive health effects, but it actually changes how things happen in our lives. And I know there's all kind of gurus out there about this kind of stuff. I'm not trying to pretend to be some self-care guy, but gratitude is a very important thing. And I really think that whether you look at it through a religious perspective or whether you look at it through a just a regular everyday life kind of perspective, I really think that being happy and having gratitude, it actually affects our lives in a positive way. Again, I don't really follow any of the science behind any of this stuff or anything like that. Like I'm definitely not a guru, but I have definitely noticed in my life that since I've been doing things to try to purposely make myself happier, that I have had a completely different outcome with everything that I've been involved with. And I don't think a lot of people really understand this. I think a lot of people really take advantage of just kind of living their day-to-day lives, and they really never think about why things happen or anything like that. So I really just want to take a couple of minutes and talk about this kind of stuff. I am driving. There's a little bit of traffic out. It's starting to rain a little bit today, so I don't want to get in a wreck or anything, but the last video I did like this, I think it turned out pretty good. So I really just kind of wanted to hit this again and, kind of see if I could help somebody out there. I don't really ever get into the whole political debates. I've actually tried to purposely stay away from that. There's enough people out there that talk about that kind of stuff that nobody really gives a shit what my opinion is about it. And I really try to focus more on kind of some of the root causes of what's going on, especially in American culture, where we've kind of gotten to these points to begin with, and like, for example, everybody talks about like let's take Joe Biden for example, right? Everybody talks about, the Democrats vote for Joe Biden and this and that. But I actually like to think about, I don't really care that Democrats vote for Biden or Republicans vote for Trump. I try to look more at the reasons why people vote the way they do, and what's kind of led them down that path of having that type of philosophy. And I've come to realize that here's the political thing that I will say. And I don't know if there's been any scientific evidence to back this up or not, but I truly believe that conservative people are happier. And the reason why I believe this is because, right, leftists, or call them Democrats, I don't really call them liberals because they're not really liberal anymore. To me, a liberal and a conservative is almost kind of the same thing. The original meaning of it, at least. A conservative person is going to want liberty, right? They're going to be a liberal person. They're going to be a libertarian. But a leftist or a socialist or whatever they want to call themselves nowadays, their entire perspective is based off of one big complaint, right? It's always a complaint that, you know, nothing's good enough. You know, it's that Robin Hood mentality, right? Take from the rich and give to the poor. So everybody's a bunch of victims. Nobody can really, you know, nobody really has anything going on because they're always complaining about everything, right? They're always, and so their gratitude and their happiness is almost non-existent. They may have materialistic things that they're happy about, but at the end of the day, their whole mentality is a victim mentality. So there's really no way to be happy about anything that's going on. And that's sad. You know, I mean, I think that's really, really sad. And I also think that this is why these people, you know, they have no shame when it comes to taking other people's monies or, you know, killing unborn babies or anything like that. They've got no shame because of their victimhood mentality. And so here again, I mean, I don't really care so much about who votes for who. I care more about why are people voting that type of way to begin with. And it all comes down to gratitude. It all comes down to general happiness, and it all comes down to not being a victim. You know, I don't know. I feel so bad for so many people out there who, you know, they just don't understand how much benefit they will gain by being happier. So, you know, let's look at a couple of things. You know, we know that attitude, and here again, I don't know the scientific evidence behind it, but obviously every religion on earth believes this, so there must be some truth on it. But we know that you know, that when people believe that they're going to have an outcome, we know that whether it's, you know, God or whether it's science or whatever, we know that it's going to manifest. You know, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have the things happen to you that you want to have happen. So we know that gratitude can even cure illnesses, right? We know that gratitude can, you know, get you out of all kinds of problems. You know, we even know that, you know, it can change your financial situation, right? I mean, if you're grateful and if you're happy, then you're going to do better at your job. You're going to get promoted faster, or you're going to, you know, be grateful enough and happy enough to start your own business. And that's really a key element to, you know, kind of being a real man and well, a real woman really too, is that's the key ingredient to kind of getting off our asses and becoming productive, right? And doing something for ourselves. It all has to do with how much we appreciate things. And, you know, I mean, I'll give you another example, right? Is kind of like our freedom, right? Our freedom. Some of us have been lucky enough to actually earn our freedom, but for the mass majority of everybody else out there, freedom is, you know, I mean, it's basically been given to them. So they can choose to be happy about the freedoms that they have, or they can choose to hate life and think that everybody's against them. And, you know, there again, it's that victim mentality where so many people just don't, you know, they can't survive, they can't thrive, they can't do anything because they think that the whole world is against them. And, you know, I know that psychology talks a lot about this, right? I mean, happiness is a state of mind. There's so many emotions that are truly, you know, they say that it's easier to be happy than it is to be angry, right? And, you know, obviously it takes effort to hate somebody. It takes effort to hate the things around you. But when we're happy, everything is just, you know, it's really just such a beautiful thing to be able to sit there and not be pissed off about every single thing that happens to you. You know, it took me many, many years to understand this because initially, you know, like growing up, I was an angry kid. I did have a problem with authority. Well, I still got a problem with authority, but did you all see that cop pass me? I think that's the same dude that pulled me over the other day. Fucking dickhead. Anyway, man, I think that's the same one that just got one of my employees for doing like 85 and a 50. Man, I told that dude, I was like, man, that's going to be one hell of an expensive ticket. Anyway, and oh man, anyway, even things like this, I find ways to be grateful for it, because my line of thinking is, at least my employee didn't get hurt, right? I mean, he was driving a company vehicle. At least he only got a speeding ticket and he didn't get into a wreck or something. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. Everything. And when we really start to outweigh, the negative things with the positive things, there are so many more positive things that happen to us. All we got to do is take them into account, look at them, and start to appreciate the things that we've been through. In the Army, we always had a funny saying that said, anything that doesn't kill me only makes me stronger. And I'm a firm believer in that. I mean, man, you've got to have that survivalist type of mentality. That's the warrior mentality, right? Is anything that doesn't kill us only makes us stronger. We've got to start getting back to that, because, man, I'm telling you, one of my fears is, and here again, I'm not an uber religious guy. I just happen to, believe that religion is good for society because it gives people a moral background and a moral code to follow. And I see the dangers of losing our religious background, because one of the things that religion does teach is to be grateful, right? It teaches us that everything happens for a reason, and that, as long as you keep faith, that everything's going to work out fine. And here again, I don't care if a person, thinks that that's a power coming from God, or if that's a power coming just from the energy of the universe. To me, it makes no difference. The important thing is that if you think it, then that's how life is going to be, right? This is what we talk about when we say that, happiness is a state of mind and love is a state of mind. It really is that simple, man. If you believe that you're happy, things are going to be much better for you. If you believe that you love people instead of hate them, things are going to be much better for you. You'll start to see things turn around. And, this is why things like meditation and prayer and, manifestation and all these kinds of things. This is why, just staying in general good health is so important, because if you're physically healthy, you're going to be mentally healthy. And, man, I've seen all kinds of people out there that have had their entire lives changed around to just all of a sudden accomplishing some really awesome things. And I'm a perfect example of that too, man. My life turned around the minute that I started understanding that my happiness is in my control. Okay? And so, kind of getting back to that political, thing where these Democrats are just victims. I don't know of anybody else that's ever really talked about this, but it's actually a psychological condition. I wouldn't say it's a mental illness, but it is almost, I would put it right up there with it's almost as bad as like a manic depression or possibly even like a schizophrenic type of disorder, where people are literally making themselves believe in negative things, and so their lives are just not as happy as they should be. And again, I say this is what the average, Democrat, leftist, socialist kind of person is they're all one big victim. And, I want everybody that's watching this to just kind of take a general, like every time you go out into the public, because you can tell who the more conservative people are, right? The more conservative people are going to be, more like your business owners and, military and police, and those, a lot of them are pretend conservatives. But still, you'll notice how much happier a lot of them are, right? Just general happiness. You'll notice that a lot of them have longer lasting relationships. I would love a sociological study done on this to see what the divorce ratio is between Republicans and Democrats. And I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure, if I do some research, I'm sure it's out there. But it's as a victimhood mentality person, you've got to be able to see that there's a better way. And man, I really think that if people started grasping this concept a little bit better, I just really think that our society would kind of get back to the old days where everybody was really flourishing, and we didn't have so much bullshit going on, man. I mean, you know, and I'm not even pretending like now is any worse than any other. You know, I've heard a lot of people, you know, Sean Hannity's always talking about, oh, well, we're in worse times now than we've ever been before. No, we're not, man. I mean, fuck, the 60s were way worse than we have right now. I mean, shit, we had this funny thing in American history called the Civil War, right? Where two sides literally fought a war over, you know, just basic ideology. So I would have to disagree with all these people that say that current times is the worst times we've ever lived in. No, it's not, right? We've lived in far worse times than this. You know, and hopefully it doesn't ever have to come to get to that point. And I can tell you the only way that it's not going to get to that point is if people get their heads out of their asses and start understanding that gratitude is the way to live life. When you are truly grateful for the things that you have and you don't want somebody to give you something for nothing, your life is going to exponentially improve. And, you know, general things like being happy. I mean, I'm happy, you know, I'm happy I've got my damn truck back, right? It cost me freaking $5,000 to get the injectors and everything replaced, but I'm very grateful for that. You know, I'm grateful that maybe during that time I wasn't able to drive it. Maybe something bad would have happened. You know what I mean? But I'm saying everything happens for a reason, and you've got to find the gratitude in everything. You've got to find the joy in everything. And so when I do my other videos and when I do my other rants, it really is, I mean, obviously it's stuff that I'm passionate about, right? But I never am trying to project this this type of negative, you know, hate the world mentality, because that's not me at all. You know, I can tell you that I have so many things to be grateful for. I've got the most awesome wife on this earth, man. We've been together for 16 years, going on 50. Right, I was married a couple of times before this marriage. I mean, I can tell you all just, you know, personal history. I mean, hell, I got married the first time when I was 16. I mean, I was a punk ass kid, man. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, and man, I was a punk ass kid. I mean, I hung around the wrong people. You know, I was smoking weed, you know, drinking beer and all kinds of shit, sleeping with older girls. And then I turned 14. You know, and life just kind of went downhill from there, man. I ended up getting a girl pregnant when I was 15. She had the kid when I was 16, so we ended up getting married. And then I joined the Army at 17. And so you know, in my young adult life, I mean, I had a lot of negativity because I thought it was just the world against me. And, you know, I mean, it was really kind of a couple of people that took an interest in me as a young soldier. You know, they kind of showed me the right way, and, you know, they basically, I wouldn't say they beat me into, I wouldn't say they beat me into being a good person, but, you know, I had to learn my lesson that, you know, it's just not good to be negative, and it serves no purpose whatsoever. I actually had one of my sergeants, one of my squad leaders when I was in Korea, he gave me this speech one day about how we have a moral obligation to be happy. And at the time, I was just kind of like, man, get the fuck out of here, dude, whatever. But as my career progressed in the Army, and then as I got out and did other things, you know, and especially when I started my own business about 10 years ago, it really started to click in my mind that he was absolutely right. We determine our own destiny, right? God might control our fate, but we control our destiny. And the more negative we are, man, the more difficult it is going to be to navigate through this fucked up world where everybody else is so negative and where everybody else is so whiny, right? And that's what it comes down to, man. I mean, in fact, that during that speech in Korea, this particular sergeant that I had, we had a funny term. It was called viral spinal whiningitis. And it was like, man, you know, it's true. I mean, it's absolutely true, man. The more that we whine and the more that we try to, you know, just perpetuate that victimhood mentality, the more fucked up shit becomes, man. And it's unfortunate that more people don't realize this, but the happier we are, the better things are going to be. And this is why we have a moral obligation to be happy. If you believe in God, you believe that God made us because he wanted us to prosper, right? He wanted us to do good things in life. He wanted us to be happy, and he wanted us to be successful. He wanted us to have, cool families. And, to me, that's why God put us on this earth, right? I mean, he didn't put us on this earth to be miserable and suffer and hate everything and go through life in poverty. I mean, I can tell you guys, poverty is a choice, right? And it's a choice because happy people aren't in poverty. That doesn't mean that they're rich, but happy people who appreciate what they have, they're not hating life. And it's just a very important lesson for people to learn. Man, y'all hear that new turbo open up? Man, yeah, I went ahead and had a new turbo thrown on this truck while I was getting the injectors put on. Come to find out, I actually didn't know this, but because I asked the shop to go ahead and do an EGR delete on this truck. And come to find out, I guess that's against federal law now. I guess you can get like a $10,000 fine. So here again, we got the government telling us what we can do with our own private property, and whatever. I guess all you tree huggers out there think that it's saving the environment for me to have a EGR delete and catalytic converters and all this kind of crap on my vehicles. But anyway, that's a different rant for a different day. I'm sure I'll do a podcast about that soon. But going back to this happiness thing, man, I really just want people to start thinking about this. I don't know, sometimes it doesn't quite click into our minds. Sometimes you hear it, but it just never kind of sinks in. And so that's why I wanted to kind of talk about this today, is because I know that there's a lot of people out there that think that I'm like this uber negative, always angry kind of guy because of the type of podcast that I do, but I am absolutely not that way. I mean, I can tell you, I have so many damn things to be grateful for, man. I've got my wife, I've got my girlfriend, I've got my kids. Man, life is awesome. I've got a badass business that I absolutely, here's another key thing to being happy, and this kind of goes back to when I talk about how real men are self-employed. And I'll tell you, one of the key things that I've found in life, and I'll give this advice to anybody, is do not work to live, live to work, man. If you're in a job that you hate, you got to get out of that job and you got to start doing something different, man. You've got to do what makes you happy. I don't care if that's writing poems all day. I don't care if that's damn cutting grass. Okay, don't worry about following societal norms. As long as you're taking care of your own, and as long as you're taking care of the people you love and your other obligations in life, stop doing that 9 to 5, man. Don't work for somebody else. I've already talked about how when you work for somebody else, all you're doing is allowing that person to determine your worth, right? You can't really be happy if somebody else is determining your worth. And so, I mean, think about this, man. General happiness and just, mental health and emotional health and even physical health, you're going to be better off if you're doing what you love, even if it doesn't bring in as much money. Okay, I mean this seriously. I tell everybody, one of the best jobs I ever had in my life was working on a damn golf course. I mean, man, it was, we were out in nature all day long, just doing nothing else but cutting grass, man. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I was good at it. I only got paid like $7 an hour, but it was an awesome job. We went to work every morning at about 4 a.m. We were off at 2 a.m. I mean, it was a truly awesome job. I enjoyed the physicality of it. I mean, it kept me in good shape. And I really think that's one of the things I like so much about doing construction too, is it's able to keep me outside. It's able to, I stay in pretty decent shape, despite all outwardly appearances. But, this just goes to what I'm saying, man. You got to do what makes you happy. You've got to do what makes you happy. One of the things when we find true gratitude, one of the key ingredients to that is doing what we love to do for work. And I can tell you straight up, man, if you don't love what you're doing for work, then it is going to be awful hard for you to find true happiness. and to really be grateful. You know, maybe that's another problem with all these Democrats, right? They all go and get these liberal arts degrees, you know, these degrees in, you know, feminine studies and shit like that. And, you know, then when they find out that there's no real work in those fields, I guess that's maybe one of the reasons why they're all so pissed off. I don't know, maybe that's why they all become vet techs or some shit. I don't know, but, you know, take this kind of stuff seriously, though, man. I know that there's a lot of gurus out there who kind of preach the same message. I don't really ever watch or listen to any of those guys because I found all this shit out on my own just through trial and error. When you are working in something that you love, you will see your positivity meter and your gratitude meter. You'll see it just bounce through the roof, man. I mean, it's just that simple. And you'll notice that you'll be able to start taking better care of the people that you love too. You know, nothing's worse than coming home from a job that you hate and then, you know, having the kids whining and having your wife nagging you and shit. All that stuff builds up, and all that stuff, you know, I mean, really that's another thing that I talk a lot about is you know, real men take care of their obligations, but real men find a way to do it to where they're not always pissed off, right? Real men figure out ways to do it to where everybody around them is happy. Their wives and their kids and everybody else that they have to deal with on a daily basis is going to be happy. And you know, this is just important stuff to think about, guys. I think that if more people take this kind of stuff into consideration, we're going to have just a whole hell of a lot better society. And believe it or not, it's infectious, right? So when you start spreading the word and when you start leading by example and showing other people how it's done, then everybody else around you kind of starts doing it too, and before you know it, you've got a whole chain reaction where everybody wants to be happy, and you know, that's just, to me, I really do think that you know, this is half of the problem in this country. You know, first, people have become so damn entitled. You know, we really are spoiled. I mean, when you come down to think about it, we really are spoiled, and people have become victims because of, you know, the fact that they've really never had to struggle for anything. You know, even the bottom end people in this country, the people that are in the biggest poverty, are still richer than about 95% of the rest of the damn world, right? And that's one of the problems with our society, is that nobody's had to earn their freedoms, nobody's been exposed to real pain and suffering. So, you know, they've developed this, you know, poor me mentality. And, man, it's just fucking up the whole, you know, it's fucking up everything. So anyway, you know, this video was kind of important for me to do. Again, I think that gratitude is the #1 key to success. I believe wholeheartedly that we have a moral obligation to be happy. And, you know, if somebody disagrees with me or somebody wants to comment, you know, please get a hold of me and let's make it happen. But in the meantime, right. And like always, I hope this message helps somebody, and y'all take care.